They said wolves never help humans, that they only follow instinct and prey. But in the heart of Alaska, one man found out that nature doesn't always follow the rules. Tom wasn't looking for trouble. He was chasing beauty. A seasoned wildlife photographer, used to the harsh silence of the wild, Tom ventured deep into the Alaskan frontier to capture the migration of a majestic elk herd. But nature had other plans. A sudden snowstorm turned the forest into a white void. Trails vanished, the signal died, and cold began gnawing at his strength. Lost, hungry, and alone, Tom was forced to make a desperate choice. That's when he saw them. Tracks in the snow, not human, not elk, wolf. Instinct told him to run, but something deeper told him to follow. And that decision would lead him into the most mysterious and life-altering encounter of his life. Amidst the icy silence of Alaska, where the white snow swallows the horizon and the solitude becomes deafening, Tom walked with the confidence of someone already familiar with the dangers of the icy wilderness. As a wildlife photographer, he knew each shot could be his last. But this journey would be unlike anything he had ever experienced. Following a moose trail, Tom was caught in a brutal storm. The sky darkened as if night had fallen hours earlier than expected. The wind howled through the trees, and dense flakes blanketed everything around, erasing tracks, trails, and even hope itself. In a matter of minutes, the world ceased to make sense. His GPS was frozen. His cell phone had no signal. His backpack was wet. His food was useless. The cold, it cut to the bone. It was as if the forest was trying to drive him out. Alone, isolated, and with the temperature plummeting, Tom knew every minute could be his last. But then, something caught his eye. Footprints. In the thick snow, a trail emerged. They weren't human, nor were they moose. They were wolf tracks. Logically, he should have fled, but something kept pushing him forward. It was as if that creature knew he was there, as if it was waiting for him. Tom took a deep breath. He took the first step. With each footprint he followed, the connection between him and the unknown grew deeper. He didn't know where it would lead, but deep down he felt he was no longer alone. In the vastness of Alaska, amidst the cold, hunger, and loss of direction, he found something beyond fear. He found a calling, and believe me, what he saw at the end of the trail will change everything you believe about the wild instinct. If you're feeling the connection with this story, leave a like and subscribe to the channel, because what happens next will leave you chilled and maybe even change the way you view wolves forever. The cold no longer just bit the skin. It seemed to have invaded the bones, freezing thoughts, hope, and almost life itself. Tom could barely keep his eyes open. Exhaustion settled over him like a thick fog, and every step was a struggle against a body, begging for rest, for surrender. The trail of footprints led toward a clearing between distant pine trees, and it was there, in the heart of the silence, that he suddenly stopped. Something was different. He felt before he saw. 3 pairs of eyes watched him, yellow, piercing, motionless. 3 wolves. They didn't advance. They didn't run away either. They were there, standing firm, as if they had been waiting for him. Tom froze. His instincts screamed to run, but his weak legs wouldn't obey. Even if he wanted to, he no longer had the strength to flee. For what seemed like eternal minutes, man and beast stared at each other. The wolf in front, larger than the others, took a step, then another, and another. Tom felt his heart race. His breathing became shallow. His hands trembled, but not from fear. It was something different, a strange feeling, that he wasn't in danger, that it all made sense, even if it wasn't logical. The wolf stopped a few feet away. He watched for a second longer, and then slowly turned around. He walked, then he looked back, as if calling him. Tom staggered. He took a step, then another. He continued. The animal didn't run. It just walked at a steady pace, as if it knew exactly where it needed to go. The forest around them seemed silent. No crows, no wind, no footsteps, just Tom's heavy breathing and the sound of snow crunching beneath his boots. After a few minutes that seemed like hours, the wolf entered between some rocks. There, partially covered by branches and shadows, was a narrow entrance. A cave. Tom hesitated. But the wolf stopped at the entrance and lay down. He didn't show his teeth. He didn't growl. He just waited. With the last bit of energy he had left, Tom entered. Inside, the natural shelter blocks the biting wind. The ground was cold but dry. For the first time in days, he was safe, or so it seemed. The wolf watched him from the entrance, like a watchman. The other two wolves, they had disappeared into the forest. Tom leaned against the cave wall and finally allowed his eyes to close, not out of weakness, but out of relief. And before falling asleep, in a flash of consciousness, he realized something almost impossible to believe. That wolf had saved him. But why? Instinct? Curiosity? Gratitude? Or was there something more? Something that science cannot explain, but that nature keeps silent? If you want to know what happens when the bond between man and wild goes beyond logic, click like, subscribe, and get ready. Because in the next chapter, Tom will discover that the real test was yet to come. When Tom woke, the weather had changed. The cave remained cold, but there was no longer the sense of death lurking. Outside, the snow was still falling lightly, as if the storm were taking its leave. For a moment, he wondered if it had all been a delusion, a dream forged by exhaustion. But then his eyes met the wolf's. He was still there, sitting firm, his gaze calm, like a border guard between two worlds. Tom tried to stand, and the pain responded immediately. His muscles were stiff. The hunger was brutal, but the fear, that was gone. Something had changed that night. Not just the weather, but Tom's very perception of what wild meant. It was then that he realized, next to his body, carefully pushed against the cave wall, was flesh. Fresh. He didn't know what animal it was. He didn't know if he should eat, but his hunger spoke louder than his doubt. He ate in a hurry, still watching the wolf. The animal didn't move. It didn't even growl. It just watched, as if it knew it was necessary. As if he understood. Minutes became hours. Time seemed to flow differently in that place, where instinct and reason intersected in silence. On the second day, Tom began to regain some of his strength. His fingers began to feel again. His body, previously confined to the ice, began to respond. And once again, when he woke up, there was meat. Another gift from the wolf. But the most impressive thing happened. That afternoon, as the sun cast a pale light through the trees, a silhouette appeared at the cave entrance. It was another wolf, not one of the ones Tom had seen before. He approached slowly, bringing something in his mouth, a fur blanket. He left it next to Tom, and left. Tom didn't know how to react. It went beyond instinct. It was a gesture. Through the night, the howls echoed in the distance, and he began to understand that he had become part, however briefly, of something greater, a silent alliance, an inexplicable truce. The third day was the most memorable. The wolf, who had always been at the door, entered the cave and lay down beside Tom. But for company, Tom cried, without knowing why. Maybe because of the beauty, maybe because of the helplessness, maybe because of the connection that escaped words. That night, he understood that nature was not cruel. It was just real. And within that reality, there was room for bonds that books don't explain. Time had ceased to be a concern. Days and nights blended together like a slow mist, and Tom no longer counted the hours. The hunger had been alleviated, the cold eased, and the fear replaced by something rare in the wild. Trust. The wolf, the one who had guided him, the one who had fed him, the one who had watched over him silently, stood nearby as if waiting for the right moment to leave, but not until Tom was ready. On the morning of the fourth day, something changed. In the distant sky, the muffled sound of propellers cutting through the air brought a new tension. It was a familiar sound, longed for days, and now almost dreaded. Tom struggled to his feet and left the cave. The wolf was already outside, looking up, alert. The search helicopter approached, circling slowly over the area like a metallic bird on patrol. Tom waved. The team spotted him. Minutes later, men in orange suits and rescue gear disembarked and ran to him. The smiles, the radios crackling, the hugs, it all seemed distant. But Tom looked. Beyond them, the wolf was still there, standing a few feet away, watching. And then, as if he knew the mission was over, he took a step back, then another, and slowly disappeared into the trees. No sound, no goodbye, just the silent presence of something inexplicable. During the flight back, Tom remained silent. The team talked, asked questions, and smiled with relief. But he just looked at the forest receding below. It wasn't just a physical rescue. It was the end of an encounter that would forever change the way he saw the world. In the days that followed, he would try to tell the story. I would try to explain the gestures, the eyes, the protection, but few would believe it. Some laughed. Others said it was delirium, imagination triggered by the extreme cold. But Tom knew the truth, and she didn't need validation, because the memory of that gaze, steady, wild, protective, was etched in a place no camera could ever reach. A wolf will save him. And perhaps, more than life, it had given him back faith in what science cannot yet measure. The silent language of nature, the one who speaks not with words but with actions, the one who doesn't judge, just observes, and that, sometimes, chooses to save. If you've made it this far, it's because something inside you recognized this connection. So subscribe to the channel because this was just a story. But in the shadows of the pack, there are many others waiting to be told.